People say, oh, the miracle child. She's not the miracle child. It's not her. It's just, she's God's vessel.
They need a miracle and they need it now.
This is the true story of Abigail Castillo, who decided to take her power back from her abusers after 16 long years. Abby, as most people call her, was adopted by her aunt and uncle when she was just 9 years old. The couple physically and sexually abused her for the next 16 years. This story involves a cult-like following that believed the child that Abby conceived by her uncle was a miracle child who could heal you just from her touch. This is an almost unbelievable story of a brave survivor. Hello, my name is Holly. Welcome to the Murder She Shed. I tell rarely discussed true crime right here inside my she shed. If you want to join me here weekly, you must push that subscribe button, and it'd really help if you push the like button too. And leave a comment if you'd like. Just help a nerdy girl out. I need all the help I can get in this big YouTube world. Also, speaking of nerds, I have my computer back. The Geek Squad kept my computer for a month, and guess what? It's not fixed. You can probably hear my fan in the background. I'm hoping you can't. I told them exactly what was wrong with it. I told them it was the fan. They did everything but fix the fan. So apparently I'm a bigger nerd than the Geek Squad. So I'm going to have to fix it myself, even though I have no warranty because I'm doing this. It is what it is. Also, I won't be making another video for a few days as me and my husband just celebrated our 32nd wedding anniversary, and we're going to go on a motorcycle trip. We're going to get out our motorcycles and just take off. Really, that's what we're going to do because we have no plan. No plan, no hotel, no goals of even where we're going. We're just going to take off for a few days. We're like that. We usually have no plans. Just do things, and they don't always turn out great. But anyway, I'm telling you all this. I won't be making a video for a few days as I'm going on a trip, and then I got to fix my fan. I'm waiting for the parts for that, and then I got to fix it. You got to do things yourself, I guess, to get it right. Anyway, come on in, sit down, and listen for a spell. Abby was born Abigail Rodriguez in San Antonio, Texas in September of 1998 to a single mother. Abby's mother liked to party and had a long history of neglect of her children. Abby had an older sister and younger brother. Abby's mom was on drugs and was an alcoholic. Her mom lived with two men. One of the men began to essay Abby's older sister. The family unit had a long history of being turned into DHS. All the children were malnourished, and there always appeared to be hardly any food in their home. The children were always dirty and had a chronic lice infestation. Their diapers were always sagging with filth, and they hardly had any clothes or even a bed to sleep in inside that house. So after the complaints to CPS, Abby, along with her siblings, were taken away from her mother and placed in a shelter. Unfortunately, this is when Abby's aunt and uncle come into the picture. Abby's uncle, EUSEBIO Castillo, who was a sergeant in the U.S. Army, was stationed in Hawaii when he learned about the children's circumstances. So, out of the kindness of his heart, him and his wife, Laura, decided they would, take the children home to live with them. Well, you would think kindness, but actually he had sinister plans because he had actually told Abby when she was younger and he had visited her mother, who was his sister, that one day Abby was going to be his wife. And she was just like 6 years old when he told her that. His wife, Laura Castillo, worked with children, so it just seemed like a perfect solution to DHS. EUSEBIO, like I said, was her mom's brother, and the children had nicknamed him Uncle Chavo. Uncle Chavo and his wife Laura lived on the military base in an apartment. When Abby first arrived, it seemed like finally she would have a normal family. Finally, perfect family. About 3 months after the children moved away, Aunt Laura and Uncle Chavo called them down to the living room and had them sit on the couch. Laura said, "Well, we have something important that we need to talk to y'all about." We just wanted to tell you that you're going to officially be adopted legally, so you will be our kids. You can now call us Mom and Dad. Just a few weeks after being adopted, 9-year-old Abby was alone with her new father when he began to massage her feet. Uncle Chavo told her, I know you had a long day. I just want to help you relax. This massage continued all the way up Abby's legs until he started rubbing the front of her panties. Then he stops and tells her, Don't tell your mom. She knew the whole encounter did not seem right. It wasn't long after that until her uncle started making nightly trips to her room, laying beside her, and his hands would just begin roaming all over her body. Abby's dream home had suddenly turned into a nightmare. While the other children would get to go outside and play with friends, Abby would be forced to stay inside with her uncle so that he could SA her. After Uncle Chavo served his 4-year term in the Army, the family decided they'd hightail it back to San Antonio, Texas. Uncle Chavo was actually kicked out of the military after he made contact with a minor on the internet, and CP was found on his computer. Imagine that. They moved to Laredo, Texas a few months later after Abby told her best friend that her uncle was abusing her, and it was turned into CPS. Abby was now 13 years old and knew that what her uncle was doing to her was abuse. At 13, the abuse escalated to rape. They're in their new bedroom wearing SpongeBob pajamas. He flips Abby over, pushes her head down into the pillow, and rapes her. Only 13 years old, he took her innocence. Afterwards, Abby runs to the bathroom and takes a shower. She runs the water over her, and her tears mix with the shower water as she attempts to scrub the dirty off of her body. Soon her uncle began to pick her up from school, and then he'd take her home for about an hour in order to essay her, and then he would take her right back to school. He'd tell her to shower and then take her back. Abby even attempted to tell her aunt, but her Aunt Laura told her not to bring it up again. She didn't want to hear it. When Abby turns 15, Aunt Laura asked Abby to be a surrogate to her and Uncle Chavo. She wanted Abby to have their baby, so she knew what was going on all along. Apparently, she didn't care. Aunt Laura calls Abby into their bedroom and said to Abby, Since me and your dad can't have kids, you're going to be our surrogate. You're going to have babies for us. When Abby says no, Laura says, Oh, yes, you are. Not only that, but once the baby was born, Abby was told that she could never tell the child that she was the mother because Laura would be the baby's mother now. After this, Laura joins her husband in essaying Abby. The first time Abby was called in their bedroom, she was forced to watch her aunt and uncle have sex. They would force Abby to participate in threesomes and make her sleep in the floor beside their bed. I can't even further discuss everything that happened in that bedroom because the details of what happened to that little 15-year-old girl is just so disturbing. At school, Abby got into cross-country running. It was a way for her to leave behind her stress at home. The only problem was that most of the runners were boys, so her uncle began to stalk her while she was running. Her friends began to notice her uncle following behind them while they were running down the road. Abby just told her friends that he's just worried for my safety while I'm running. Uncle Chavo makes sure she doesn't sit or talk to any boys. If she does, she is punished. He stalked her all the time. At school, at home, he limited all of her social media. He wouldn't let her talk to any boys. He was just like a jealous lover instead of her uncle or adopted father. If she did talk to boys, then she would be punished. He had hit Abby in the shoulder or the stomach, well, everywhere that it couldn't be seen. She wasn't allowed to wear shorts or tank tops, not only because it might attract boys, but also because he didn't want people to see the bruises. On the night of Abby's 8th grade dance at school, as she dressed up for the dance in her room, she was so excited. Uncle Chavo stood nearby, drinking and spewing the words bitch and at her, jealous at the fact she'd soon be dancing with other boys. Laura later drove her to the dance. Disturbingly, at the end of the night, Uncle Chavo appeared on the dance floor with a bouquet of roses for her and apologized right in front of everybody for what he said to her. 1 year after becoming her aunt and uncle's slave at 16, Abby became pregnant. Aunt Laura told Abby to tell everyone at school she was pregnant by a guy she had been with at her last school. On November 16, 2005, Abby had her uncle's baby, a little baby girl. After the birth of the baby, her uncle got a job as a janitor of Abby's high school so he could continue to stalk her. By the time Abby is a senior in high school, she's already pregnant with her uncle's second child. Right after graduation, Abby gives birth to another little girl. And just like the first baby, this baby is taken away from her immediately, and now Laura is its mother. The third baby, a little boy, arrives when Abby is 22 years old and still a captive in her aunt and uncle's home. When Abby's oldest daughter was just 6 years old, Laura and Uncle Chavo started calling her the miracle baby. They told the little girl that she could heal people, she could perform miracles, that she was very gifted. Because of this, Uncle Chavo decided to start his own church, and he built a tiny chapel in their backyard for all the healing that would be performed by this little girl. This was in 2009 after they had moved back to San Antonio. They launched a Facebook page for the chapel to promote it online. Well, it didn't take very long before the word of mouth began to spread about this little 8-year-old miracle girl at the St. Peregrine Chapel who could heal people. The little girl would draw a cross on their forehead and pray for their healing. They bribed her with candy and treats in order to get her to lay hands on people. Abby's daughter began to have a cult-like following, and her healing powers even made it on actually 2 local news stations. Aunt Laura can be seen talking on the news about how her daughter, supposed daughter, had the ability to heal people. They had everybody convinced, even the local news, that she was a miracle healer. Could be healed of cancer or whatever. She touched you and you were healed. This is the actual news clip of her healing, touching and healing people, and they refer to her as Paige on this news clip. But I'm going to blur her face out because this little girl is a victim too.
It's a journey of faith that hundreds are in the back of the 8-year-old's home.
We've had so many people come in and out of this little chapel. So many lives Paige has touched.
A few Saturdays ago, the family opened their doors to 150 people for an outdoor mass on St. Peregrine's feast day. St. Peregrine is the patron saint for cancer patients.
I think it's more hope. They're getting hope. They're getting inspiration. They're getting their faith back.
It's a miracle for a little girl. I love you.
Olivia Duron has been coming to see Paige since being diagnosed with uterine cancer. She says Paige's prayers give her hope.
I'm scared, but well, what can I do? I'm just scared. I don't want to leave my family. I still haven't finished my mission.
Others like Beverly, who was fired the first time she was diagnosed with cancer, are now coming here to see if what medicine did not kill, God will, through this child's prayers.
She's an 8-year-old miracle child. That's what she is, and she's sent from God.
People say, oh, the miracle child. She's not the miracle child. It's not her. It's just, she's God's vessel.
And just as quickly, we're reminded she's still a child.
Mommy, what's a vessel?
A boat.
To some, that's the beauty of all of this. God and the Virgen de Guadalupe doing their work through a young child.
Jesus was born in a manger. Miracles happen anywhere.
Zachary is Brenda Lutz's son. He hasn't been here since his mom died a few months ago.
As soon as I walked in, felt joy, almost like a shining light on me.
Her mother says that death is just a part of Paige's life, but not something she fears.
Death to her is just a new step in life.
And just like any 8-year-old, Paige is a little camera shy, but she did remind those who believe that all the Virgen de Guadalupe asks for is for our prayers.
What does the Virgen tell you for us to pray?
The Hail Mary.
It's never been about her. It's been about her wanting to pray for everybody.
I saw some wonderful miracles in the time that I was here, and I feel blessed to see every single one of them.
God works through mysterious ways, and He has Paige right now.
Over the next few years, the couple received donations from thousands of churchgoers who believed the couple's daughter was a healer. This was all just some money grab for Aunt Laura and Uncle Chavo. They've been known to con people in the past, and this was just another one of their cons to convince Abby's little girl that she was a miracle worker. I mean, I'm sure she believed it maybe. As followers passed the donation baskets, Aunt Laura and Uncle Chavo continued to rob Abby at night. After Laura was diagnosed with lupus, Uncle Chavo told Abby, "When Laura dies, it's me and you. We're going to get married and have more kids and continue the chapel. On the outside, we'll be father and daughter, but on the inside, we're married." Things would begin to change for Abby after she met a man who began to come to their church. Rudy Alvarado, who had 2 kids of his own from a previous marriage, said he and Abby started falling in love quickly, spending as much time together as they could on Sundays and also trying to Facebook chat with each other online. When Abby didn't have her father stalking her, which was a rare moment, he knew something was always off though. Abby would suddenly end the chat or go missing for months. And in the midst of all that, Rudy said he got a vision. In the vision, Rudy was in a prison compound, and there was the good side of him and the bad side. And he said he was helping and hurting people. At the end of the vision, there was a breakout in the prison. And as he was leaving, he saw this hooded girl in a cell. So he walked up to her, and he flipped her hood up, and he said it was Abby. The vision confounded Rudy and urged him to dig deeper. So he kept pursuing Abby, not giving up on her despite her odd behavior. Abby also fell in love with Rudy and began rebelling against her uncle. On one occasion, Uncle Chavo became frightened that Abby would actually report his abuse to authorities. So he got crazy and doused himself and his house in gasoline and threatened to burn everything down, including the children. Aunt Laura was able to talk him out of setting the fire. Despite the terrors at home, Abby tried to hide the truth from Rudy for fear he would leave her if he knew that the real father of her baby was her uncle. But Rudy finally pried it out of her. He told her he was in love with her, but she needed to tell him what was going on or he would have to leave her. He needed honesty. Abby finally spilled the truth about the children being hers and that her adoptive father and mother had been raising her for years. Rudy was stunned, and Abby feared that it might be the end of their relationship. But no, Rudy said he would help her, which Abby thought was strange because she never had anybody to help her before. She just didn't trust anybody really at this point, and I can understand why. So she didn't know why Rudy would even be, stick around after that. Abby finally broke free in April 2014 when Laura became ill and was taken to the hospital. Uncle Chavo thought she was going to die, so he went to the hospital too. Abby was now at home with just the children, and so she called Rudy to come pick them up. Uncle Chavo began stalking her after that, though. He would call Rudy's house, breathe into the phone, and say nothing. After a few times of that, Rudy got fed up, and he answered the phone, and he said, "I was going to leave you alone, but since you keep pushing, and you want to act like a stalker and a piece of shit, I'm going to effing come after you. Get ready, you SOB, because you're going to prison." And then he hung up. And then he made Abby go to the police station to tell her story. But by the time police got around to investigating it was already too late. EUSEBIO and Laura were gone. They sold the house and everything in it for $2,000 to 2 ladies who owned a pawn shop, and then they just fled. The police wanted to do a DNA test on the children in order to prove who the mom was, which they could do that, but they couldn't prove who the dad was because he had fled. So they must find him first to find out if, the babies were a product of incest. Even so, Abby knew that she was the mom and she knew who the father was. So she decided she would tell her children that she was their mother. The children were 9, 6, and 3 at the time. The 3-year-old started calling her mom within 3 days. The 2 oldest daughter took a little more time to adjust to the situation, which you can understand. By March of 2016, Rudy and Abby got married, and then they gave birth to their little baby boy. Finally, Chavo and Laura were arrested in September 2016 after posting a GoFundMe account asking for money for her medical expenses caused by lupus. The location on the account was San Juan, Texas. They were found and arrested. Laura was ultimately sentenced to 33 years in prison for the 3 counts of aggravated assault in the first degree, each a felony charge, with credit for 415 days she had already served behind bars from the date of her arrest. Although Uncle Chavo was sentenced to life in prison, he died on April Fool's Day in 2019 from kidney cancer. Abby and her children are not just survivors, but heroes for all the abuse they were forced to endure. I love to tell stories of survival to let people know it's possible to get through the worst things imaginable and not only survive, but thrive. A lot of my subscribers know that I was actually a victim of SA by my grandma's neighbor when I was like 7 years old. And I kept it a secret until I was a grown woman. I didn't want to admit it. Only after a drug addiction and some counseling I received for the drug addiction did I finally let go of my secret and the shame I felt from the abuse. Please do not do like me and carry it your whole life. Please, if you've been through this, come forward. Not only are you helping yourself, but when you tell your story, you're helping other people that have survived this type of thing. Don't just be a survivor. Be a hero. You can be a hero by helping others. Don't just survive, but thrive. All right, guys, I love y'all, and I will see y'all when I get back from my trip. Anyway, I'll let you tell Simon bye. Let me call him. Simon left me. He cares nothing about me. I'll take it in and I'll film him inside. He went with his daddy. I don't know, he's been kind of a daddy's boy lately. I'm like, what's up with that? You're supposed to be my bud. See y'all later, and I'll film Simon for a second and maybe make somebody if they're in there. Bye, I love y'all. Coming up on Simon. Let's surprise attack him. He may not be in here. I may just think he's in here. Where's Simon go? He hid from me. I was telling him to make him say bye. Say bye to Murder She Shed. Say bye, Max. Say bye, buddy. See y'all next time.
The storm is closing in. Winds are getting stronger. The Category 5 pounds of Carolina town. Oceans flood the streets. Will anyone survive this? They need a miracle and they need it